Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Carey coming back with you, and this is our last video for our Chapter 3 review on multiplication. And this is the video that probably everyone's been waiting for. It's regrouping multiplication. Now, this is something that I know a lot of students, before they get into 4th grade or even 3rd grade, their parents teach them how to regroup and multiply. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's good. That's how I learned it. But I think one of the things that I teach is the why. For example, let's start with our 12 times 34. Remember, we're doing 12 times 34 because it shows consistency. Because we have 408 on our distribution, or our distributive property, 408 on box multiplication, 408 on partial product multiplication, and then here we are using regrouping multiplication. So let's see if we can get 408. Now, in the old days, like as in 30 years ago, we would do 12 times 34, and you do 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 4 is 4, and then you put a 0 here, and then you cross that out. Now, I don't remember ever being taught why you do that. I was told, well, it's a placeholder. And then you do 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3, and then you multiply everything and add everything. 4 plus 6 is 0, and then you get 408, right? Easy. The problem is, if you teach this before students understand regrouping, they understand partial product, even renaming numbers, 1 tens, 10 tens, 100 tens. They don't really understand why they're doing this. Maybe some do, but a lot of students don't really understand, like this was never explained. Why do you put a 0 there? Oh, that's a placeholder. Why do you cross that out? Well, it's just because you don't need it anymore. Well, let's go through this step by step, and we can explain some of that why. All right, so let's start with 12 times 34. All right, so I'm going to do this as I would do it regularly, partial products and everything stacked on top of each other. I'm not going to spread everything apart. I will use different colors just to show and to highlight. But our first step is it's opposite of when we did partial product. We're going to start with our 1s to our 1s, and then we're going to go to our 10s to our 1s. So everything is centered around this little guy right there, right? Our 4, okay? So, and there we go. All right, so let's start with that. Let's start with 2, so that's our first step. 1s times 1s, okay? 2 times 4 is 8. And then I go over to my next step, which is going to be my 10s times my 1s, which is 1 times 4, or 10 times 4 gives me 40. So then I have 48. Now, some of us are probably saying, well, Mr. Carey, I know what 12 times 4 is. I know that's 48 because I've memorized my times tables, which I would say fantastic. Like, then you don't have to do this 2 times 4 and 1 times 4, because many times you're going to get things, 95 times 51, where you don't need, like, for example, 95 times 51, right? Do you really need to do 5 times 1 is 5, 9 times 1 is 9? No, not if you understand that 95 times 1 is 95. But I'm doing it step by step just to kind of show you, that's the order in which we do things. So don't panic. I'm going to erase this. All right, so let's go back. So we have 12 times 34, and we already have 48. Perfect. Now we don't have to use the 4 anymore. Now we're going to just focus on our 3 tens. Remember, this is 3, but it's 3 tens. So now we're going to go 2 times 3, and then 1 times 3. But remember, it's not really a 3. So the question of, well, why do we put this 0 there? Well, if you want, you can put it there. I'm not going to put it there, and I'm going to show you why. 2 times 30. Remember, this is 3 tens, so that's a 30. 2 times 3 tens is what? It's 6 tens. That's why we put the 0 there. It's not a placeholder, right? It's because we're multiplying by our tens place value right there. So it's not 2 times 3, it's really 2 times 30 is 60. Awesome, and now we can go 1 times 3 is 3. And really, remember, it's 1 10 times 3 tens gives me 30 tens, or 300. Now we add them up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 6 is 10. Regroup my 1. Remember, it's not 4 plus 6, it's really 40 plus 60 is 100. Regroup my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. And sure enough, we are 4 for 4. We got a 408. And that is regrouping multiplication. So now this could be kind of difficult if we're doing regrouping within regrouping. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take another problem. And this is where I'm going to kind of change a little bit. We already did 12 times 34. We've proven that all 4 methods of multiplication work the same way. We all got an answer of 408. But sometimes we have bigger numbers that we need to multiply. All right, so for example, let's pick 75 times 16. Why not? Okay, so now remember, our first step is ones times ones. So 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, well, I can't write a 30 there because, remember, this is the ones column, that's the tens column. So I have to write my 0, and then I put my little 3. I put like a little 3 right there to let me know I have to add that. So first thing you need to do is multiply 7 times 6, which is 42. Now, don't forget, you have to add that guy right there. 42 plus 3, that's right, 45. Good. 42 plus 3 is 45. Now, you can erase this, or what I like to do is just cross it out. That way I remember that I don't have to use it. Some common mistakes, if you leave it there, then sometimes students add that 3 plus another 3 and they get like a really big answer. So just cross that 3 out or erase it just so you know, okay, I'm done with it. I don't need to use that regroup. I don't need to use that place value anymore. Now we move on to our 5 times 10, right? 5 times 10 is, that's right, 50. Excellent. Now we have 7 times 1, or 70 times 10 is 700. Perfect. And then now we get to regroup, or we get to add, and then we're going to have to regroup as I can tell, right? 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 5, or 50 plus 50 is 100. And then I have to regroup my little 1 there. And then 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. Don't forget your comma. And then our answer is 1,200. So that's just another multiplication problem showing you how to regroup within regrouping multiplication. When you throw your little number up there, your little place value, remember you're adding that after you multiply whatever it is you need to multiply. So this is our last Chapter 3 multiplication review. My next video is going to be getting into division, and we're going to be in the GoMath 4.1, and this is division, but division using, we're estimating quotients using multiples. It's really kind of cool because I didn't really remember doing this. And to give you like a little sneak peek of this, let me go ahead and delete that. Delete that. All right, so if we're estimating quotients, I'm just going to write it, estimate quotients. All right, using multiples. I mean, we're not even really getting into division yet, which is, it's kind of cool that you can do this. Understanding that, some things can be divided equally. I have 8 of something, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can divide that a number of different ways. I can divide it in half. I can divide it, let's see, into fourths. Or, even if I wanted to, I can divide it into eighths, where I have my little groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I have 8. But what happens if I am dividing something and I can't perfectly divide it, right? Well, what do you mean, Mr. Carey, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, what happens if I have 9 of something, right? I used 8. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a little sneak peek. I'm not going to do the whole division right now. But what happens if I have 9 of something? Well, I can divide it into thirds, which is cool, right? 3 and 3. That way I have 3 in one group, 3 in the other group, and 3 in the other group. But what happens if I say, well, no, I want you to divide that in half, right? I have 9 popsicles. I have 9 popsicles, and I have 2 friends, and I want to divide them equally. Well, unfortunately, one friend is not going to be happy, because if I try to cut this in half, one friend only gets 4, while the other friend gets 5. So one friend's going to be really happy, and then one friend's going to be kind of sad. And then if I try and switch it around, right, let's switch it around. I'm going to do 4 and 5. Now I have this friend who's unhappy and this friend who's happy. And the only way to really do that is, I'd have to kind of probably cut one of these in half, but we're not going to do that right now. So our next lesson, 4.1, GoMath, 4th grade division, we're going to learn how to estimate quotients using multiples. So join me then. Comment below if you thought these multiplication lessons were useful, if you didn't like them, if you think I could add something to them, or even if you think that I used incorrect terminology, please let me know, because I would like to make sure that any video I'm putting up here, any math lesson that I'm teaching is correct. The last thing I want to do is confuse students more than they may already be confused using multiplication. So that's all for now. Mr. Carey is signing out, and I will see you at our next video, lesson 4.1. See you later.